Good morning, and welcome to On the Spectrum with Matt Asner. I'm Matt Asner, and this is On the Spectrum. Um, it's been a while. I feel like I haven't been here for a while, and it's nice to be back. We're doing our June show. We have some great guests today. We have John Asher, who directed the movie Poe, which you all have to run out and see. And we also have Nava Paskowitz Asner, my wife, and we're going to talk about all sorts of wonderful stuff. Um, I wanted to do my opening on a basically it's going to be kind of like a review of a review of a film. I had the great pleasure of watching Roger Wass Williams' wonderful film Life Animated last night, and I was touched. I was moved. It was exciting. It made me happy. And I just want to say that before I had seen this film, I've met Ron Suskind. He's a great guy, really interesting guy. I've read his book and thought his book was great. And I read the New York Times review of this movie, and I thought, oh, okay, well, I guess they didn't really do their job. And unfortunately, I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to do that. And I just want to say, if you read a review of any movie, you always have to jump off your own cliff. Don't let anyone make you jump off a cliff that you don't want to jump off. I was a little reluctant to see the movie because I heard it was, I'd seen this review, and I'm very upset with myself that I let the New York Times get into my head and really talk me out of wanting to see this, because I thought it's probably one of the best documentaries I've seen on autism. It's inspiring, and I think everyone should run out and see it. This is Life Animated. It's when you're going through this as a parent, you look. I always say that autism is like a locked door. You have a locked door and a million keys, and you keep trying keys, and you try a key and it doesn't work. You try another key. You go through thousands of keys, and none of them work. Finally, you find one key, and you open up that door, and there's another door, and that door's locked, and you have 999,000 keys that you're going through, and hopefully one of those will work. So, for Ron Suskind and his wife, Disney was the key. Disney was the key, and the story is told beautifully. And from the diagnosis and the regression to his first glimpse that there might be a way in to his son. And the wonderful thing is that they found a way into their son. In the review, they talk about. I'm just going to read some excerpts from the review, and then I want to talk a little bit about it. The disparity between what we want for our children and what they might achieve can be especially painful for parents of autistic youngsters. Yet you'd barely know that from Roger Ross Williams' relentlessly cheerful documentary. Now, Life Animated. Now, I thought some of the movie was cheerful, but to see parents going through what Ron and his wife are going through, that is obviously this writer is missing something in what she saw, because what I saw were two people on an island, completely unable to motivate their lives until they were able to communicate with their son. So I don't know what the writer missed in that, but not that there aren't some misty moments, as the writer and journalist Ron Suskind and his wife Cornelia recall how their son Owen suddenly became silent at the age of 3. It's like we were looking for. Okay, so I'm going to skip. Consequently, as Owen consistently more daring than his director, acquires a girlfriend in an assisted living apartment, all very inspiring stuff to watch. Mr. Williams' decision to prioritize his subject's point of view feels frustratingly restrictive. Belaboring the cartoon connection, the director leaves the family struggles that enriched Mr. Susskind's 2014 book. Only when we listen to Walt Suskind, Owen's devoted older brother, contemplate the burden that lies ahead, does the film crack its upbeat veneer and expose a much-needed nerve. I agree with that. I mean, I think Walt gives a side that we very rarely see on film, the side of the sibling, and how much weight is on him, and how everything he does in life, he is thinking about the possibility and the reality that he is one day going to have to take care of his younger brother. But I thought about this after I read this review, and I thought, you know, a lot of people are going to read this review and not see this film, and I think that's a tragedy, because this is a very different film about autism. It's not a film about diagnosis. It's not a film about anything other than finding that way to reach your child, finding that way to communicate with your child, finding that way in. And that is gold, and we should all watch that. I think society should watch that, because we need to find a way into our children's lives. They don't need to find a way into our lives. We need to find a way into their lives. And this film really tells that story beautifully. So if you if you've decided not to see that film because of the New York Times article, I urge you to go out and erase that from your mind and go and see this film, because it is brilliant. Ron is brilliant. His wife is brilliant. His Walt is brilliant, and Owen is beyond brilliant. And they're an inspirational family to watch. And I tell you, I give it a 10. The film is a 10. It's a very touching, wonderful documentary that I think you all should go see. And let's all hope that we can all find the key to some of these doors, because that's what we need. That's what we need. All right, we're going to take our first break, and when we come back, we're going to have the director, John Asher, who has a new movie, Poe, coming out, which is another great film about autism. We will be right back with John Asher.
Well, today is the One Hope Act Today for military families 10K and 5K run, walk, and family fun festival.
Thanks for coming out to support this awesome cause.
What I'm trying to accomplish here is to get more people involved, more people to be aware of autism as a disorder, so that they can be more involved in this effort to help people find resources.
Pull that belly button in, get a nice balance there.
This is an incredible event. I'm very passionate about it. Autism is affecting so many kids across the United States, and I also support our military.
1, 2, 3, 4.
My name's Gunnery Sergeant Sean Tajma. Working with the School of Infantry West. I'm currently running with 1st Light Armored Reconnaissance Battalion. I personally involved with this because my son Jacob has autism. I just want to say thanks to Act Today for what they're doing to help my family and other military families with autism.
Here we go, let's hear it for the 2nd Light Infantry.
Some of the main sponsors here. Of course, One Hope Wine is the title sponsor.
What we do is we donate 50% of our profits back to different partner charities, one of them being Act Today, that does a fantastic job.
Act Today is very dear to my heart because when my husband was deployed, they were there when we didn't know how we were going to make things happen. They give so much to the military family, and it comes at a time when you just don't know how you're going to make ends meet. So to me, it's more than just an event, and it's more than just a grant. It's a gift.
All right, you guys, have we gone over the rules?
Thank you all to the teams, to the individuals that donated to this fantastic cause out here again this year. The event got larger.
People ask me, why military families with autism? Why does Act Today have that as a special program? I'll tell you why. Because our military families should not have to fight two battles. One, to protect our country, and another, to get services for their children. They move so often. Every time they move, they have to start again. We owe it to them. And it just was a tremendous success. So I just want to say thanks to everybody for taking part in it.
Check this out, Marine. See all these wonderful people? All you gotta do next year, Marine, Devil Dog, 2 for 100, sign up with me, staff or an email, and I'm gonna take you out here, do a little 5K, little PT early in the morning. After that, you're gonna have the time of your life. After that, I might even be able to get you a letter of appreciation, maybe a little libo time. How's that sound?
Sign up for next year because this is an event that comes on and on. It's a win-win situation here.
Back. This is On the Spectrum with Matt Asner, and I'm bringing in our first guest, my good friend John Asher.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. John has a new film coming out called Poe, and I was lucky enough to be one of the first people to see Poe, I think.
Yeah, you were.
California.
You were.
And was mightily impressed. And I think I told you at the screening that I was at.
Yeah.
Now, I had not seen the film when I made my opening statement.
Right.
I just kind of knew what it was about, and I kind of, and I'm sitting there during this first screening, looking at this film, knowing that I just introduced a film that I hadn't seen, and I was watching this incredible film about a father and a son, and I thought to myself during, and I think I said something in my opening remarks that. And I kind of knew what the film was about, but I said something in my opening remarks about looking deeper into things and not always thinking things are what they seem.
Right.
And that's very much a theme that kind of goes through the whole film. And what impressed me most about this film, we're going to talk about the film, we're going to talk about why you did it.
Sure, sure.
What impressed me most about the film is that it's a film about a father who has a son with autism, and it's about their life together. The mother has passed away, unfortunately, and he's a single dad raising his son, and the son is, for the most part, limited verbal, non-verbal, limited verbal.
Yeah, he's limited.
Limited verbal. Yeah. So why don't you tell us, you're an autism dad.
I am.
So tell us, I'm assuming that that's the reason you wanted to make this film, but kind of tell us why you decided to make Poe.
Well, it was kind of twofold. I was going through a divorce and having a 3-year-old with autism. It's a lot going on at once. And I feel like, looking back on things, you know, the divorce was really generated from us not knowing what to do with our child,
right.
Because and then we couldn't agree on who was doing what right. You know what I mean? What's the best way for him to go to bed at night? What's the best way to talk to him? What's the best way to get him to play with his toys? Typically, you know. And it was always, no, you're not doing it right, or well, you're not doing it right, and we just couldn't agree. And the best thing ultimately was for us to separate, which was really hard because I was really in love. And I was going through a lot of the blame game for myself, that taking on the responsibility. Am I the reason my son's autistic? Is it because of me? Is it something I did? Is it genetic? You know, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to figure it out.
And that's something that I think everyone goes through that. Everyone goes through that list of things, and right? I mean, that's.
I can only speak from my own experience, but I can tell you that I had instant accountability,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember before Evan was born, I used to manage bands, and I was sleeping in a boathouse up in San Francisco with this rock and roll band, and I was laying on the floor, and I just hung up the phone with my wife, and she was about 8 months pregnant, and I kept thinking, I can't wait to hold him, and I can't wait till he's playing baseball and he's doing everything that's so typical in what I'm imagining. and then this little surprise comes out, and definitely just put me on a different path, and I think it's a more awesome path, I guess, than I mean, I don't know because I don't have a typical child, but I just think it's just a very mind-blowing experience. And
when did your son start showing signs of autism?
It was weird. There's things that I couldn't pick up on that I would never know because I was a first-time parent. But he was reading really early, like really early, like 1.5. He was like duck, turtle. Just like bam, 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 out of a book. And I wasn't sure if he was memorizing or what was going on. I wasn't sure what was happening. But there wasn't a lot of eye contact, So I didn't think anything of it then. I think my mom had brought it up to me, and she was like, he's not really... And the way he would play with toys, like truck was always upside down, and he would just spin the wheel. I was like, man, he's fascinated with the... But to me, I just thought it was kind of cool. And then it progressed. I mean, escalators were out of control. I could not go to the mall without going on an escalator at least 10 times, And he'd be like, escalator, and I'd be like, all right, let's go. And we would just go and go and go. But I need to circle back to the film and what. Well,
before you get to before you get back to the film, when I took Will to New York, I went on the subway with him to Coney Island.
Right.
Okay, and Coney Island was closed because of the hurricane when I was there.
Right.
I went on the subway with him to Coney Island 9 times, and you know what that's like, right?
Yes,
that's an hour,
Yeah.
And it was crazy, but I understand completely about escalators. I get it. I get it. As a dad, I get it. So I'm sorry. Let's go back to the film,
which is it takes us back to I'm moved out, and I've got a roommate now. I'm 30 some odd years old, and I have a roommate again. Like I was like, what's happening? He was a producer. His name's Darby Parker, and he had this script called Poe, and he brought it in to me, and he said, you should take a look at this. And of course, I couldn't set it down, and I came out of the room, and I was crying, and I couldn't stop crying because I was like, oh, somebody else is going through what I'm going through. Like, even the writer, and Colin Goldman, who wrote it, he has a son on the spectrum, and it's based on a true story of Steve Roberts, and he and his son, where his wife did pass away, and he is now single father raising his child. There's stuff left to the imagination with Poe's imagination in particular.
Right.
In the original draft, Poe used to talk to an elephant in his imagination, and the elephant would talk to him. And we just didn't have the money to get a talking elephant. They're very expensive.
Well, you know what? Honestly, Inside Out took care of that, so I think you're okay.
Right. Yes,
But,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of in my imagination, and I'm not sure, but I feel like sometimes my own son looks at me, and he's like, everything's fine. Like everything's like, I don't know what you're so stressed. What are you so stressed about? And it's really, I feel like at some point it's us. We're the ones that's trying to, fit a round peg into a square hole, whatever it is. That it's us trying to make them conform to society rather than us conform to them, which is probably pretty amazing, I think, on their side.
We're all neurotic creatures, and
Yes.
we all want what's best for our families.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
when we see something, when we see a roadblock in the path of our children,
Yeah.
that becomes pretty horrifying to
Yeah.
us, I think.
Yeah.
And I think we have to do whatever we can to get and so. In the movie Poe,
Yeah.
you see this father. He's doing everything he can. He's really kind of struggling to get through his business life.
Yeah.
Because when you're a single parent, I think, and having a job becomes more and more difficult, especially when you have a limited verbal child at home who has therapies.
And his
constantly.
wife was probably holding down the fort in that aspect.
Right.
She was at home,
The anchor.
and she was the one taking him to the ABA therapy and to school, and really being hands-on mom. And then she passed away, and now all of the responsibility is turned on to him. I'm really lucky. I mean, Evan's mom is amazing, and he has a really awesome life in Chicago with a bunch of friends. But for me, the reason the script was important for me is that the fact that the mom did pass away, you know, that kind of loss of a loved one, whether it be physical or in a separation, was something that clicked with me. And then just the wanting to connect with my son so badly. One of the things in the movie is, you know, it took me a long time to teach Evan, and this is something that I definitely wanted to teach him, was to give a hug. Like, he just couldn't, he would turn his head to the side, or I was like, that's not a hug is such a magical, it's just that feeling. And now he's 14 and he hugs me like crazy, and he also says, Dad, you promise you'll cuddle with me forever. And I was like, dude, I'll cuddle with you until you're 50. I don't care. Like, you know, I want.
I agree.
Yeah. So
there's something special about that. I think I've been very lucky to have all of our children who are on the spectrum. We have 3 in the house.
Wow.
They're all affectionate. They all hug. They all kiss. Well, Will doesn't kiss, but he hugs. And you know, there's you know, holding hands. You know, I don't think I would have held my dad's hand when I was 13 or 14, but you know, the fact that Will still does that, I think, is a beautiful thing.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So I think right after the film, right after when I saw the film, I went up to you and I said, you know, look, I just want to tell you, I think this film made me feel things that I haven't felt since I saw the first film about autism that affected me like this, and that was Temple Grandin. You really get inside the world of autism, and you really kind of let the viewers in to that world, so that you can understand and you can move with the character, and it's beautifully done. And I'm not going to kind of go into it too much. We have a trailer we're going to see in a couple of minutes.
Awesome.
But I really love the way you did that.
Thank you.
And you know, Shannon Penrod, who has Autism-live, and we're part of Autism-live, she told me that there are a lot of people who worked on the film who have children with autism. Is this true? And how many people on this film work?
A lot.
Yeah?
A lot, which lets you know how staggering the numbers are.
Right.
And this is why we do what we do and why you do what you do.
And is this
right?
something? Is this something you discovered during the filming, or?
I mean, some of it. Yeah. I mean, we were having a really hard time finding the dad. We were having a hard time. It's a small movie, you know. A lot of actors were like, nah, it's not for me. But Christopher Gorham came along, and I met with him, and I think this is the first time he's really gone public, because at the meeting we had, he said, you know, my son is on the spectrum. And I was like, oh, that's great. And he said, the script blew me away. I have to do it. I have to do this movie. I was like, great. Well, that's another one, right? So we've got both the writers. We got the lead, the father, myself, and then Jack. If you remember Jack in the movie, he's got a few roles in the film, played by Andrew Bowen, and he's been on Autism-live.
Yeah.
His son Reese.
That's right.
Has autism. And then a crazy, amazing, magical thing happened. I was flying from Newark to LA.
This is a great story.
Right?
Yeah.
And this guy comes on the plane. He's an older man, and he says, hey, can you help me with my coat? And I was like, who is this guy? I was like, all right. So I help him with his coat. I put it in the thing, and then he's putting Neosporin up his nose. And I was like, what is going on? Then he offered me, I was like, no, I'm fine. And then he continued to talk to me a lot on the plane, and I was like, man, this guy. And then I said, what do you do? Finally, I'm engaging. What do you do? And he's like, I'm in a band. I was like, how is this guy in a band? He's like 70 years old. He's not in a band. I don't. And then I get to talk about myself for a second. I'm very excited. I'm a director. Oh, what are you doing? Well, I'm about to make this movie. It's about autism. And I could just see his face change. And he said, my daughter was autistic.
Yeah.
And it turns out I'm sitting next to Burt Bacharach. And his daughter, Nikki, who unfortunately took her own life, had autism. And he has scored the whole movie. And he also wrote an original song for the movie. And I can't tell you who came on board yet because we haven't publicly announced it. But a very, very major star came on to sing the song for us. So we now have a new original song that's in the film.
I'm intrigued. I want to know who it is.
I'll tell you after, but I can't tell you. I can't tell you public.
Right.
I can't tell anybody publicly.
Well, I'll have to like.
But that's
swear
how we
a gag
found
order.
Bert. So Bert scored the whole
That's
movie.
incredible. Burt Bacharach, who's arguably one of the greatest songwriters and musicians.
And I didn't know who he was until I called my mom.
All
she
from
was
a
like,
plane
call
ride.
him back. Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Well, we're going to take a look. We're going to take a look at the trailer,
Cool.
and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about how people can see this movie.
Great.
So, what you're going to see right now, this is the trailer for Poe.
Oh, dinner time.
Oh, dinner time. There you go.
Mac and cheese, please.
Oh, we don't have mac and cheese today, buddy. This is peanut butter and jelly.
Calcium's good for your bones. Patrick's a nice name for a boy, but I think I'll call you Poe. May I sit here? I'm Amelia, by the way. I do believe we are going to get along famously. Poe, can you tell us what the capital city of Mississippi is?
Hey, spaceman, the teacher asked you a question.
We've all become quite concerned about Poe's declining situation.
What's wrong with you, freak?
He has autism. He has been reading since he was 3 years old. He seems to understand math concepts that I struggled with in graduate school. I pay for the therapy services. I'm the one driving him around the neighborhood every night until he falls asleep. And you know what? My son won't give me a hug, but that doesn't mean I love him any less. There's a residential treatment center. You want me to put Poe in a home? What do you intend to do if your son continues to drift? He's moving somewhere in his mind. Some children, like Poe, drift and don't come back.
If you want to, Poe, you can live here forever.
Daddy's been having a really hard time lately, and you deserve the best because you're a very special boy. Places your mind will take you, I can't even begin to imagine.
Daddy, this is Amy.
Thanks for coming out here to talk to me.
God grants blessings in mysterious ways. Do you ever wonder why Poe drifts?
Yeah, I do. I wonder why he drifts. I wonder why he flaps his arms. I wonder if he'll ever get a girlfriend.
I'm worried about my dad. He seems sad all the time.
I just need you to tell me it's okay.
Don't be afraid, Daddy.
Don't be afraid of what now?
Don't be afraid of me.
If I was you, I'd keep my retarded kid on a leash.
My dad's a wrestler.
Well, we got the tail end of there got a little jumpy, but
yeah.
But so this is just a great film, and let's talk a little bit about the performance you got from your kid star, Julian Fetter. That was an incredible performance by him.
Yeah.
So, was he familiar with autism? Was there?
No, I was guest speaking at an acting class, and one of the kids there was Julian, and some of the kids were performing, and he was the only kid. He was like a little adult when he came in there, and he was wise beyond his years, and the way that he would deliver dialogue just had so much more behind it than everybody else. Everybody else felt like they were repeating lines, you know, that's my dog Lucky,
Right.
and he'd be like, that's my dog Lucky, and you would just be like, wow, like how
There
is
was
he?
something
Yeah,
there.
it resonated. I hope that made sense to everybody. But he had this extra thing, and I knew that finding Poe was going to be the hardest part of this film because I had to find a kid that not only could portray someone with autism, but also he had to be typical.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
So he had
in
to be able
certain
to
scenes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So, which we'll leave as a surprise.
Yes.
But so I started auditioning kids, and I always had Julian in the back of my mind. And I read about, I don't know, like 45 kids, and there was one kid that came in that was very pro, very like by the book, like very like you could just tell. But he didn't have that natural thing that I wanted, and I ended up hiring Julian, and he had all the dialogue memorized very quickly, which was great for me. And what we started doing is we would play board games together. Monopoly. There was one where you put a marble on a track and watch it go down. You build the different tracks.
Yes.
Yeah. So we would do that, but
That's frustrated me many times.
Yeah,
Mike.
but he was only allowed to play the game in character. So if he was playing Monopoly with me, he had to stay in character. So if I reached out and tried to touch him, he would have to pull away. And what I would do is give him different physical body gestures for different emotions. So if you see him doing this in the film, he's calming himself. Stimming, he knows what, yeah, but the stimming is excitement. So we ran through a whole list of
So you gave him exercises for that?
Yeah.
Now, how did you learn to do that? I mean, how did you...
Watching Evan.
Really? Yeah. And so that was just something you I mean, that's great. That's I mean, that you're a good director then, because that's, you know, a lot of times directors just say, oh, here's the script, let's say, oh, now they work on performance during performance. But you actually, you know, hearing that you actually did exercises with them, with, I guess, at least with Julian, if not the other actors, I think that's wonderful. And I think, to me, that does a lot of the math for me on how he was able to put that incredible performance together, because it was very well done, very well done. So,
great.
if I'm sitting at home watching this and I'm seeing this this interesting film come up on my screen, on my computer screen, how in the world are these people going to get to see this? So, what's going on?
So we are doing, you know, a lot of independent films do is we're doing the film festival circuit. We've actually won a lot of awards, which is really cool. Julian's won a couple of Best Actor awards already, which is great. I love that he's beating out the adults. It's really cool. That always makes me happy. It's a tricky road for an independent film. You know, we're not blowing anything up. No one's wearing a cape. But there is a hero in our film. Interesting, right? And a couple of twists. A lot of twists.
Yeah.
A lot of twists.
Yeah.
And a surprise kind of ending, I think, too. I don't think people see that coming. It's great.
No, it was great. I agree with you. I agree with everything you're saying.
Thank you.
I'm not going to say too much about it, because you know, it would ruin the ending. For people,
would.
But it's a great movie, great ending, and lots of irony. It's really a wonderful piece of work, and you should be very proud of it.
Thank you. So November is what we're looking. That's what we're shooting for, is November, because we want to qualify Burt Baccarat for the Oscars to get him a nomination for Best Score and Best Original Song, which you're going to hear about soon.
Can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So that's what we're trying to do. We got to be out by November for sure, and we'll keep you posted.
Yeah, and we will keep you posted about where you can see this film. Yeah, because it's worth seeing. It's worth seeing. This is pretty amazing, because we've got, you know, I said a little something about Life Animated. I don't know if you've seen that film yet.
I haven't seen it yet.
Great film.
Yeah.
And I was just...
It's a documentary, though.
Yeah,
right?
but I was upset because the New York Times gave it a bad review, and so I kind of, my whole opening today was kind of saying, how do you give this a bad review?
I was just going to say, how do you review even a documentary bad? Like, it's a documentary.
You know, but it's like, you know, basically they were saying there's not enough angst in the film, and I'm like, no, there's plenty of angst in the film. You know, you're just not seeing it.
Well, that's one. Keep in mind, don't let one person's opinion get under your skin.
No, I know,
right? It's one guy.
But it was like the New York Times, and I thought, you know, how shameful that they're going to.
They gave him a platform. And I'm sure there's people there that aren't happy with the guy. And it's funny, a lot of reviewers get away with doing that, and they shouldn't. They should be held accountable, because they really do affect the performance of a film.
Oh my God! I was thinking about it, because it's like, and you're a filmmaker, you have a film that's beautiful and that deserves to be well reviewed. I mean, of course, you know, you're dealing with people who have personalities and egos, and
and people that probably don't have. I have a funny feeling this guy does not have a child on the spectrum.
Obviously not.
Right.
Obviously not.
Right.
He does not have a child on the spectrum. Probably doesn't know anyone on the spectrum.
So we could assume that maybe he's not well educated.
Exactly. But that's unfortunate, and that actually that's an underscore of how far we are from really kind of being there.
Yeah.
You know, really.
Yeah.
Because unless you have someone with autism in your family, or know someone with autism, you don't get it.
That's why I made the movie.
Yeah.
The movie is, hopefully, I mean, I'm aware that a lot of families with children on the autistic spectrum are watching this show.
Right.
That's what this is for.
Yes.
But those families need to get their friends that don't have anybody to watch Poe, because Poe is an instant education.
Exactly.
It's here you go. This is what we go through.
You need that agree chain.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Totally.
The agree chain, the shampoo.
Yes.
And, you know, she told one friend, they told one friend, and so on and so on and so on. So that's what we need here. We need a community network supporting this film.
Yeah.
And great film. Go see it. John Asher. Thank
Matt
you very
Asner.
much. Thank you very much.
Matt Asner.
Okay, and here's the funny thing.
Come on.
Now we got a two-shot here. Let's get a two-shot.
Wait, is there
Can we have
a two-shot? Do we have a two-shot?
Okay.
Oh, this
so John and I are connected in more than just autism.
Yes.
Your
dad.
and film. My dad and John's mom worked together for many years in a little show
called Mary Tyler Moore.
Mary Tyler Moore. And John's mother is Joyce Bulifant.
Yeah, and Matt's dad is Ed Asner.
That's right.
Get out of here. The Ed Asner.
Can you believe it? The Joyce Bulifant?
It's
unbelievable.
And we,
So
they
Joyce
lived,
was-
and we lived on the same street.
We lived on the same street.
In the Palisades. Didn't you live in
No,
the
I
Palisades?
didn't live on the Palisades.
Why didn't you live? What?
No, there was a rumor going around that I did live in the Palisades.
Yeah.
But I'm kidding. I didn't live in the Palisades. We lived on Roscommere Road.
Yeah.
That's where we grew up. Roscommere.
I know where that is. The Upper Estates.
Yeah, yeah. Up near Mulholland.
I know where that is.
Yeah.
All right.
So there's a lot going on here.
And end of show.
But we'll keep you updated on this great film, Poe. And like John said, it comes out in November. Look for it. Listen for Burt Bacharach and this great mystery guest that you're going to get.
Oh my God!
The vocalist.
This song, yeah.
Okay.
And I can tell you, it's a female.
All right. Well, we'll see.
That's all.
We'll check in with you again.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the movie is Poe. Comes out in November. Go see it. John, thank you for being a guest.
Thanks for having me.
Good seeing you.
Appreciate it.
And we'll talk to you soon. And we will be right back with my wife, Nava Pasquitz-Asner.
What?
Yeah.
Where's...
Here mid-swing on this wonderful day, this wonderful walk with Mr. Matt Asner. Talk to us about today's walk. Do we have any facts, figures, numbers, or just pure emotion?
Just pure emotion. I'm about to get the numbers. We'll see what it is.
Okay.
I think it's probably close to 1.6, probably. That's my feeling. But it's incredible. We had 55,000 people plus here today, and you know, I honestly, I've been here 7 years. It gets better and better and better. So.
And really what you fostered here today is hope. I know that's your favorite four-letter word.
Where are we without hope?
Where are we?
Really, I mean, seriously, where are we without hope? Hope is everything. Hope is eternal.
This is a pretty big event. Every year I love it. What does this event mean to you?
Well, I just think it's great that you see so many people coming out to support, autism.
So we're here with Max Burkholder. There's a whole community of people that are going to love you no matter what you do, no matter where you go, no matter what you do. And that's the autism community. Are you okay with this? Is this a good thing?
I'm pretty okay with it. This seems to be a pretty happy, supportive community.
Well, what did you learn about autism through portraying this wonderful character?
Sort of the individuality of it. You know, like with autism spectrum disorders, a tendency is to sort of generalize everybody with sort of the same degree of affliction as sort of exactly the same, and very generalize them a lot. But something I found while just talking to everybody, and that I tried to put into the characters, just the sense of individuality that all of them have, everybody has. And so at a certain point it became not really even portraying autism, it just sort of became portraying the character.
I want to say thank you on behalf of everybody for what you do.
That's very sweet.
To bring awareness and to raise money. That's a tremendous, tremendous legacy. But as a dad, you've got other things that you're doing as well.
Yeah.
I want to know, as a family, if you have any advice, what's been something that's been helpful to you personally?
You know, get your autistic kids out in the community. I mean, my son's got a guide dog, so he goes to a lot of cool places. He surfs, he skis, does gymnastics. He's actually trying Hebrew school. I'm not quite sure if he knows what's happening there, but he does all kinds of cool things, and he has a lot of friends. Right now, most of his friends are the adults who take care of him, and over time, hopefully he'll have more friends who are his age, and you'll see him walking around, and people won't be nervous around him. The dog's been very helpful with that. It's like the dog is like the most infectious thing in the world. Like everybody wants to be near the dog, and he sees that, and he gets some of that affection laid onto him. So, as a family, you know, we're just there to support Tyler and make him happy.
Potty training is different for every child. A child could come in with absolutely, no control over their bladder, and as long as that's not a medical issue, then we can certainly approach it behaviorally and give them the tools they need to be successful, just like any other skill that we would teach.
Well, we think he's learning to pee on the potty. No big successes yet, and lots of accidents. Here is the laundry from today.
For some of our kids takes, just a couple days. And then for other kids, it can take months and months and months. And then when you're looking at complete independence, it can take years.
Hey, you have to go pee-pee?
There's a lot of different ways to tell if a child is ready. We look for a couple different things. Probably the most important is parents saying, I need this to happen, I'm ready. Second is, a child showing interest in the bathroom, and some of it is simply age. It's time to go ahead and work on this.
What are you doing? Pooping. You're pooping?
You first start with teaching the child what they need to do on the toilet. The basic thing we want is for them to drink as much liquid as possible. It's inevitable that if you drink a bunch of liquid, you're gonna pee.
No, I can't help you pee. I can hold your hand, but I can't help you pee.
Ultimately, what we want is that, the child, as soon as they're put on the toilet, they urinate. So that's step one. Step two is usually working through the amount of time that they're off of the toilet and making sure that they're not having accidents during the time that they're off. So this is kind of the bladder control stage of things.
So the purpose of the potty log is just to see how long it takes them as soon as they sit on the potty for them to actually urinate, and the amount of time that he's able to hold his urine. And with the log, we're able to visually see how long it takes them each time, and if they have accidents or not. He's on a half-hour potty schedule, so if he doesn't go when we take him, then we have to take him in 10 more minutes. So every 10-minute intervals until he does go, and then we reset the clock, and it's 30 minutes again.
Okay, buddy. Okay, last chance to go pee-pees. Do we reset it for 10?
Oh, what does that mean? What does that mean, Jack? It's potty time! We can come play after. Hurry!
What we hope happens in this time is that the kids will learn how to initiate going to the bathroom on their own. This is oftentimes the hardest part of potty training, is because they get so used to somebody telling them when they need to go that they're not really recognizing the signs just in their own body of when they need to go.
Uh-oh, he wet himself.
Uh-oh. Big wet?
Was it a lot? We can reset to half an hour now.
The biggest thing for parents is not to give up. The other big tip, and I think pitfall that a lot of parents fall into, is putting their children back into pull-ups or diapers, especially if they're starting to have accidents. And this is probably the worst thing that you can do. They need to recognize that feeling of fullness in their bladder and take themselves to the bathroom, or tell an adult that they need to go to the bathroom.
What do you have to do? You have to put your pee-pee in the potty. Okay, give it a shot. See if you can put it in there. There you go. There you go. You're doing it. Yay, Jack. Big prayer for your pee-pee. Big prayer for your pee-pee. Woo! Yay! Good job. What a big boy. High five. High five. High five. High five. High five. High five. High five.
Welcome back to On the Spectrum.
Oh, sorry.
You're giving me your drink?
No.
Thank you. I'm Matt Asner, and my wife Nava is here with me, and we've decided to pull John Asher in because he was that good. You were that good.
Behind every good man is a great wife.
Exactly.
It was her decision.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. It was all Nava. So, hey, how you doing?
Wonderful.
You doing good?
Still recovering from 4th of July, but...
Let's talk a little bit about 4th of July and autism.
Oh, yeah.
So, we actually, the 4th of July, is one of those things with, where you got to worry about your dogs and your kids.
Yeah.
Because the dogs are going to go crazy. The dogs are going nuts because of the fireworks.
Sure.
And if you have children, young children go nuts, and children with autism sometimes go nuts because of this noise and this unearthly boom that you're going to have in the neighborhood. So, how did you deal with that, getting through that?
I was okay, actually, because Evan was in Turks and Caicos.
Oh, well, that makes it easier, doesn't it?
Yes, and it makes it a lot easier. And he loves fireworks.
But when they're younger, I remember 4th of July was just like a nightmare.
Yeah.
It was a nightmare. I mean, it was something
Well,
to
you
be
told me
avoided.
that funny story, right?
Yeah,
we were talking
mean,
about this because Shannon said we were talking to Shannon earlier.
Antecedent, an ABA term about like an event that is going to trigger a behavior in a child.
Yeah.
And Edwin was so hypersensitive to noise, and we were, in this picnic and with a bunch of families, and so excited. And my older kids had been waiting all day for the particular fireworks display, and the first boom, Edwin his eyes became saucers, and he screamed, and I immediately reacted and just picked him up, and he's a huge kid. At 7, he's like 120 pounds. Wow. So at the time, he was a big boy, and I picked him up, and I just started running, and it ruined the day for all the kids, but he's gotten better as he's gotten older, obviously. But
And so we were talking about this issue with mothers and fathers, and that mothers are more of they'll they're going to shelter their child from these dangerous explosions that are happening, and the bad noises and the bad people.
Whereas a dad
is like, hey, come on, we're going to go out, we're going to have some fun, and and we deal with it. Dads deal with it in a very different way than mothers deal with it. And Shannon was saying that she read this blog that we'll post on the Facebook, where.
Can I just say,
yeah.
I think the reason that is, though, is because the moms, no offense to any dad present, but the moms usually have the majority of the time with the child, and not in Matt's case, but in most cases. And so they're trying to prevent a setting event.
Disaster.
And they are saying, they're looking 10 steps ahead.
Right.
Like, if I do that, this will happen. This drives many moms crazy, including myself.
Yeah.
But you're always trying to prevent it by doing something before the event of behavior happens.
In the future.
Oh, for sure.
Well,
And the dad, I think,
that's what
pushes the kids, and I think part of it is the dad's
it's like
underlying denial. Like, my kid's not autistic. I'm going to push him to do.
First of all, I've never thought that, never said that.
No, but I'm just saying that
I know what you're saying.
I think it's a subconscious thing.
And we'll be right back after this.
After this argument.
I guess what I'm saying is that I think and I agree with Shannon. I think they're both essential for that child.
Yeah.
They're both essential. The hugs and the protection is essential for that child. But I also think that the pushing is essential.
Well, yeah. I mean, Eddie would be...
Bringing a child into a place that he's not comfortable is essential.
Yeah.
And I'll
How many
use it
times
for example.
with us? Yeah.
No, I know. And I'll use it for example. Baseball.
Right.
Dodger game. Eddie had never been to a Dodger game. And
Successfully.
Nava didn't want to go.
Right.
She knew it was like going to be a bad situation.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Huge crowd.
A huge crowd.
Huge crowd,
hot.
loud.
Yeah.
Hot, August,
Noise.
But I did notice something though. And I was like, no, we're going to stick it out. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to stick it out. So we got there. And of course, like 5 minutes into the game, 10 minutes into the game, he's like,
time to go.
Yeah. So, and you're like, And I was like, well, we should go.
Yeah, we definitely should go.
We should
Let's
go.
go.
Like,
We're
I'm
going
like,
right now. Okay,
Before
let's go.
it's
Ready?
a ticking time bomb.
I'm like,
right?
no. We don't want to go. We want to make sure that he understands that this is just fun and it's it's great. And the great thing about baseball is it's long.
Yeah.
And you sit there and you enjoy the grass and you enjoy the smells of the grass and it's just nice. It's nice.
Well, he did get
it's
to go
a
on
very,
the field, too.
It is a very sensory experience.
I
a
haven't
baseball
done.
game.
I mean, I just went to a Dodger game, and when I go next time, I will smell the grass.
Please.
I haven't been
Yeah,
doing
I
that.
mean, really.
When is
About
the
the
next-
peanuts, the
when
hot
is-
dogs.
when
There's a
is the
lot
event?
going on.
You smell the hot dogs. You smell the peanuts.
When is the event? August 6th, I think. No.
No, August 8th, I think, is the
next
Dodger
Autism
game.
Speaks.
I'll send you an email.
It's
about it.
fun. It's really
we'll
fun.
go.
Yeah.
But the point
And-
is that if you pushed me to go through that one little peak of his peak of
Right.
anxiety, and once we got over the peak, he had the best time of his life. He's totally into baseball now. He's wanted to join a team.
That's awesome.
And if I had given in to my fear and said, "That's it, he's ready to go. We're out of here," it would have been such a tragic thing.
And these stadiums now are thinking about this. They're thinking about people with autism. They're thinking about people who have sensitivity to noise and light. So if you go up to any of the ushers and say, I need earplugs, they'll give you earplugs.
Yeah.
Nice.
And the great thing, what I noticed though, we started the event under the cement
Awning.
Yeah.
Okay, so there were people over there. So the noise when you're under that awning is deafening, and it reverberates.
Right.
It really does. And what I noticed is when you go out into the more open places, and of course you don't want to do that though. I mean, it's
With
so
the sun.
hot, But
Right.
but when it gets closer to evening, if you move down, of course you have to take someone else's seat, but. Sometimes you got to do that. But you move down and you go into the open places. The noise is much less, and it's much more manageable, I think, for anyone.
Yeah.
He really-
because
and
I think
it
for
was
anyone
wonderful.
sitting under that awning, having that reverberation,
No, it's
it can be
intense.
kind of jarring and intense.
Yeah.
But going into the into the main outside area was a real great thing for him, and he enjoyed it. He really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and now he loves baseball.
He loves baseball. So next step is hockey.
So you guys did a great job. You did some great co-parenting.
Oh, yeah.
So it all worked out.
Yeah.
Everything worked
We got
out.
it. We got a little thing going.
It's taken a few years.
We got a little thing going. What are some other? Can you think of one that?
I mean, this is great that you guys do this show together.
Yeah.
I mean, this is therapy. You get to talk to a.
Well,
I mean,
it all
this is,
kind of stemmed from, we had this conference, and we had a conference where I drug Matt in to do a dad support group, and he had an MFT moderating.
Which really scared me, actually.
Yeah, it was scary, but it was wonderful, and the dads were so stoked on it, and it really was very successful. But then we did a kind of an open discussion, talk about marriage and the trials and tribulations of being married to within an autistic, having autism as a factor, and the fact that there is such a huge divorce rate in special needs families, huge, like
I'm
90%.
I'm one of
Yeah,
them.
us too.
Yeah.
But we were we found each other after our mutual divorces.
Yeah.
But it was such a success. It was my most successful workshop. And so Matt had already started the show, and this is going to be an ongoing segment at the end of his show.
Right. I think it's genius. It's
Yeah.
great.
Thank you.
Smart. Very, very smart. Very smart.
Mhm.
Very
Thank
smart.
you.
Thank you very much.
I will tell you a situation I thought was that has come up a few times with Evan is bullying. It's interesting. He doesn't know what bullying is, right? So he went to camp, and it was a day camp, and he came home. I said, a new friend, Trevor. I said, oh, that's cool. And he's like, yeah, he makes me put spiders in my pants. And I was like, Evan, Trevor's not your friend. That's not a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
Now, who am I to tell him it's not his friend? I mean, I know I'm trying to help, right? Because I don't want him putting spiders in his pants. And also, Trevor's a jerk. Wherever you are, I'll find you, Trevor.
We're looking for you, Trevor.
Yeah. But there's also this magic thing that he has no idea, right? That kind of, I hate to use the word ignorance, but maybe
Innocence, purity.
Autism is
Yeah.
bliss,
Yeah.
right? It's just
You know
like,
what? I agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, there is something beautiful about that. I mean, and for a parent, I think extremely frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And God, you just made me think of something. Will, because he went to school, I think, last month, and he got hit.
Wow.
A kid punched him
Mhm.
in the back, and I guess Will had said something to him like, called him by a different name, and the kid took offense to it and hit him in the back. And Will turned around and
But not like a curse word. He just said
No, it
Mike
was like-
instead of
yeah,
you know.
his name is Bobby, and he said Mike, and
Yeah.
the kid was like, ah.
Yeah.
Punch.
Bobby!
F you.
Right.
And that's exactly what he said. He just said F you and hit him as hard as he could. And and as a parent you hear that and you're like, oh God, that's but Will was great about it. I mean, he really was. He was I think it threw him for a loop.
Right.
But he was really, like you said, he was kind of evolved about it. And not I wouldn't say he was ignorant about it, but he was evolved about it. He was like, oh, I don't want to be a bad person like that. It was a very kind of like and it was fascinating to see him go through the kind of machinations of being bullied and not wanting to return the physical violence.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, Evan. There's another kid at school. I forget the kid's last name. I gotta find him too. But there's this kid.
There's a list. You're like Game of Thrones. What is the little girl?
Like Arya Stark. Yes.
I don't.
Give your list.
I've got to see Game of Thrones. We'll
Oh
talk
my
about that later.
gosh.
Never seen an episode.
have
Yep,
to
I'm
watch
that
it.
guy. I was busy making movies, but yeah, there's a kid at school, and he says that kid has yuckies inside of him. That kid has yuckies, so because he has yuckies, Dad, so it can't help him. So that's how
Yuckies.
he's got
I
yuckies
love
inside
that.
of him. He's got some yuckies, which it's true, right?
It is true.
No one's hurting anybody unless there's something
They're
wrong.
suffering.
Yeah, there's something wrong. And then another thing is lying. Interesting, right?
Very interesting.
I remember the first time Evan lied. I was really proud of him because he was doing something typical.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, "That's awesome." But then I was like, "You can't. You should not do that, son. That's bad." But I was kind of stoked on his creativity too. But now he really can't lie. It gives him anxiety.
No,
he's
absolutely.
filled with anxiety.
Will,
If
for
he
sure.
has to tell me everything that's happening. Mom was texting and driving again. Which is awesome. I love when he tells me that. And then I can also say, "Did Mom tell you to tell me that?" And he'll go, "Yep." So it's perfect. He's awesome.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I heard
How
something.
old is he now?
14.
Right.
There, someone I was listening to a radio show the other day, and they played something on the radio of this 911 call where a kid called to report his father for running a red light.
Oh yeah.
Oh, funny.
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
Yeah, I saw that.
Wasn't that fun?
Yeah, it was brilliant. And I think the kid must have been on the spectrum.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It was just very, and it's innocent. It's so innocent, And I that's why I was saying earlier that I feel like I hope that's in a societal. Is that what you say? Like
Societal?
Societal. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. That's why I'm here.
It's all right. That we would figure out a way to become more
In their world
In
rather
their
than
world.
forcing them to be.
Yeah.
That's
That was
essential.
that was
Yeah.
a really strong point in
Life animated.
Yeah.
Well, and actually, I think it's a very strong point in John's film because
which I haven't seen. I
Yeah.
feel so bad.
I'll send you a link.
I
Thank you.
know. He went without me.
Well, I don't think.
It's one of the few places I did that. But I think what's important here is things aren't exactly maybe as you think they are, and always assume intelligence, and you never know. You might be surprised by what is really going on in that little guy's head or the little girl's head.
Yeah.
It's profound usually. I mean, I have a friend, our friend Katerina. Her daughter is nonverbal, totally nonverbal. She got an iPad and totally changed her life. Totally changed her life, and opened up.
Similar to
Neil Katz, Lane's Hall.
no, the girl from Toronto, Carly.
Oh yeah, Carly Fleshman. Assume intelligence.
Yeah.
And let's unlock those doors with the keys. Let's find the keys to unlock the door.
And don't be afraid, right?
And don't be
I think
afraid.
a lot of people are afraid, that do that rather than come up, hey.
Well, a lot of people, I think
that takes
a lot
experience,
of people,
though.
A lot of people are afraid for them or their kids to look different and to feel.
No, I
to
agree.
feel
I
different.
agree. You're afraid because when I would go to the Surfers Healing events years and years ago, I would be freaked out, especially if a kid's big, flipping out.
Yeah.
I would think in my head, and I'm sure God heard me and taught me a lesson. I would say, thank God that's not my kid.
Here's my opinion on the
Seriously.
God thing. I don't think you want to teach you a lesson. You know what he thought? This is a gal that can handle it.
There you go.
I don't think.
Actually, obviously there's a plan there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
look
I
what you're
think that
doing.
there was a
Yeah.
major
Look what
plan
you're doing.
of fate and
Yeah.
and destiny of what we were supposed to do.
All right, guys. I want to thank you.
Thank you.
You guys are going to see each other when you get home.
We are.
This is the
We
greatest show
are.
ever. Like you get
And
to,
I know.
That's so awesome.
cool. And I want to thank you, John. Thank you very much.
Thank you for
you
having
had a
me.
lot
guys.
today.
Thank you
and
for inviting me to segment
course.
2. That's crazy
it was
nice.
very cool.
Thank you.
Once again, Poe the movie, released in November. Soundtrack by Burt Bacharach.
The other
Oh,
thing,
Directed by
Bacharach.
John Asher.
Yeah.
I love him.
And
No, I'm serious.
And listen here. We'll tell you where to see it. I want to thank you all for watching On the Spectrum. Until next month, keep the hope alive.
Is it connected to like Poe